Hey, welcome back. So this is day 2 of 10 Days with Chuck, and today I'm going to cover session management. So I created a package called Chuk-Sessions, which is really a foundation package for usage and things like conversation management, etc. But it's pretty cool. It can just be used for standard session management. You don't need it just for AI sessions, but we are going to be using it in Chuk-LLM and some MCP runtimes later on. There are 2 providers for Chuk-Sessions. There is the memory provider, which we're going to use today, but it also backs off for external usage, which is with Redis as well. So I think it's pretty good. It's all async native, etc. So I'm going to show you how to get started with it. So again, I'm going to use UV. If you haven't got UV installed, you can just do a brew install UV. Once it's installed, you can do UV init. And then to add Chuk-Sessions, you would just do a UV add Chuk-Sessions. So once that is installed, which it is now, I can get started pretty quickly. So I'm just going to open this up. You can see I've got a hello file. So we'll take that and then we will just get rid of all of this. Now, as I said before, everything is async native. So we're just going to do an import async IO, which comes with Chuk-Sessions. And then we will do a from Chuk-Sessions and we will do an import get session. So this is session management underneath the hood. I'm going to do an async def main, and then we'll just print out hello world for just now, and then we will show how the package does there. And again, I'm just going to do an async io.run, and we'll just do it main for a second. I will do a uv run hello.py, and you see it comes back with hello world. So there's my basic sort of package. To get started with the session management capabilities, it's pretty simple. I just do an async with, and then I'm going to use the get session, which I just imported over here. And then I'm going to say as session, and then that allows me access there. With session management, there's a few things that I want to be able to do. It's basically a key value store. So you can basically set and you can get. That is really what happens underneath the hood there. It's nothing more complicated than that. Now, you may want to use more complicated features like putting the expiries on there, but for just now, we're just going to use a set and a get. So if I demonstrate that, so I'm just going to do an await. Remember what I said, everything is asynchronous. So we'll say await session set. And then if I want to set a key, I'm just going to use user123 in that sense. And I will just set that to Alice for a second. And then, of course, if I wanted to set something else, I could do await session, and we'll say set, and we'll mark config, for example. Again, this is just random values I'm putting in here, and we'll set that to settings. Again, if I do want it to give a default expiry, by the way, even with the set there, it will expire. The default time to live is about 1 hour. If you want to, you can have a .env, or you can export a session variable. You would just need to set your session. We'll put a .env in for just now. So if I do .env, you would just want to set your session default TTL, and you can set it to whatever you want. So that would overwrite things. Of course, I would need to do a .env load there, but you get the idea. If you wanted to change the default value, you could do that just by changing the default TTL. But of course, if you wanted to set something explicitly, you could just do await.session, and we'll just set X as in set expiry. And then I can just say token XYZ. We'll set it for, let's say, 60 seconds, i.e. 1 minute. And then I could say secret 123. And then that will then work. And of course, if I want to set something else, maybe I want to set to a different value, we could just do the same again. And then maybe it's going to be like a cache result. We'll say cache result. And again, I can say anything in these keys. It doesn't really matter. And we'll put that for 300 seconds. We'll just say computed. It doesn't really matter. Now, if I want to get it back, then I just need to assign it to something. So I'm going to do a user is equal to await. And we'll say session.get. Remember, we wanted that user123, which is up here, which is set to Alice. So we'll just set that. And then, of course, if I want to get some other values, so maybe we'll get the token. So that token value that we had over here, so token XYZ, we'll just put that in. And then maybe I will want a missing value, something that doesn't exist. So we'll just say missing. It's not there. And then I just want to print it out. So now if I run this for a second, you see there's my hello world. It gets Alice, it gets the token, missing, it comes back with none. So it is just session management. Now, if I wanted to use something like Redis, all I need to do is I could do a brew install Redis, for example. And then if I've got Redis server installed, you see I'm now running Redis over here. And then if I want to, I could do export session provider is equal to Redis. And then I'll just set the Redis URL. So we'll set Redis URL is equal to Redis localhost 6379. 0. And now if I run this one more time, you can see I'm going to get an error. And the reason I'm going to get an error is I need Redis, and it gives me a nice little helpful pip install Chuk-Sessions Redis. So I'm just going to do Chuk-Sessions and we'll put Redis. So I'll come back into here for a second. We will just update this to be the Redis version. And now you see now it's using my Redis server there. And now if I run it again, you can see it's now using my Redis server. So super, super simple, but it's fundamental, right? So if you want to run session management across multiple servers and in a state, etc., then you're going to need that. The nice thing about Chuk-Sessions is it's pretty good with its isolation. So if I just, I'm going to run a Chuk-Session example there. This is going to basically do a quick demonstration of the various providers. So you can see here, and let's go through what's actually happening. So in this case, it's a basic provider demonstration. So that's just using memory providing, token expiration underneath the hood there. I think that's pretty good. The other thing that it's doing at this point is it's showing you multi-sandbox demonstration capabilities. So you can see here that I've got two apps, app A Alice and app B Bob, session A Alice, session B Bob. We've got same user, different sandboxes, independent sessions. So that whole isolation of sessions is taken care of underneath the hood for you there. This whole capability of dealing with the cleanup is all taken care of underneath the hood there. So it gives us that sort of safe and secure method of being able to work with sessions across the hood. Again, if you want to go and check out there is an example script in the Chuk-Sessions repo, and you can see there it will show you some of the things like the multi-sandbox capabilities. So you have this concept of a sandbox ID, app A, app B, and then if you give two things the same sandbox, then they can interact with each other. So you can have sessions isolated, or you can have them shared, and it deals with that underneath the hood. So go check that out. And again, you see sort of things like web management cases. It is pretty fast as well. So if I run performance test example, for example, you can kind of see here, again, I'm only running the memory provider, but it's still pretty fast with the Redis one there. You see there, set operations, pretty fast stuff, right? Throughput is pretty good there, million ops per second, etc. Again, it slows down with Redis, but I think that's pretty decent performance in that sense. So that's all within the library. In the next video, I'm going to show you how Sessions is used when we combine it with the Chuk AI session manager, which is really used for conversation management. So again, I think that's going to be a pretty fun video. Anyway, I hope you find the package useful, and I'll catch you on the next video.